the things you're talking about require such a change in the underpinnings of how things work that it's not going to happen anytime soon, if ever.
No, it's very difficult, but it took us a long time to create this system. I would say it started in 1913, and we devised this system that we could have endless spending for the special interests here at home, and also to manage the banking system that benefits a lot of people and our foreign policy. But now it's coming to an end because you can't live way beyond your means forever. You can't do it as an individual, and you can't do it as a country, and things get out of whack. And when they do, adjustments have to be made. We have a very fragile, disoriented financial system, and they're propping up. Take for houses, for instance. Housing prices got too high. Housing prices should come down. So we're propping the housing prices, up. At the same time, we're trying to stimulate home building, and there might be a couple million homes that were overbuilt. The overbuilding came from government programs, everything from affirmative action type community action programs as well as HUD. But basically, the Fed made interest rates so low it looked like people were saving a lot of money, so the businessman assumed that there was a market out there, so they overbuilt, and now the correction has to come, and that's the painful part.
Should the government do anything to protect homeowners, make sure they can redo their mortgages, or do anything about CEO pay? Is that you don't see that as a role?
Not the federal government. The market can handle that. I'm sympathetic to the fact that some people are going to lose their homes, and if I had $1 billion that was on the floor, and you had a choice, was the $1 billion going to go to bailing out Wall Street or help the mortgage owner? I would help people to keep their mortgage. But think of it this way, Alan, if you and I had a contract and I loaned you money and I had the mortgage and you had the house and you didn't pay, don't I have a right to foreclose on you? And that's basically it. But it's not that simple anymore because the person holding the mortgage is impersonal. It may be the Chinese government now and have 6 intermediaries where they built this horrendous ballooning of this housing bubble, and housing bubble has burst. Prices have to come down, and that's what nobody can accept.
And that will happen with the free market. We're talking to Dr. Ron Paul, Congressman from Texas, 2008 presidential candidate seeking the Republican nomination. You're supporting Chuck Baldwin, as I understand it, of the Constitution Party. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm supporting him. He's not on all the ballots, but I had a press conference not too long ago, and I tried to get all the candidates, the Libertarian, Constitutional, and Ralph Nader, as well as the Green Party, with the purpose of saying, look, I've had supporters from all 4 groups. They were enthusiastic about what I was doing, and right now I just do not believe America can be improved with either of the 2 candidates from the major parties.
Does one or the other, McCain or Obama, does either have a better way to go than the other?
I really don't think so. Just think they both came out today and they had identical policies on the bailout. Their policies, they pretend to be a little bit different on foreign policy, but there's no way the wars are going to end and the troops are going to come home with Obama or
Don't
McCain.
they come home faster with Obama than they do with McCain?
No, I don't think so. He was the first one to say send more troops to Afghanistan. He has no reluctance to support and send more money to Georgia to protect that oil line. But I would say that Obama's followers believe so because his rhetoric's a little softer, especially on Iraq.
What can one man do, you as one single congressperson, what can you do to affect the changes you want? How much impact can you have here?
Well, I always tell myself not very much. Sometimes I'm amazed how you can get any attention. I get any attention at all. But I would say that, if you persevere, sometimes you do have a little influence. I would say that in this past year and a half, I had a lot more influence on a subject I've talked about for 30 years, and that has to do with monetary policy. That's pretty esoteric, but a lot of people are talking about the Federal Reserve today. And
you did it before anybody. When you did it as far back as when you were running as a libertarian back in 1988.
Well, my first race in 1974 had to do with the monetary system because I was upset about the breakdown of Bretton Woods in 1971 when Nixon, took us off the gold standard. I said, we're going to have trouble. We're going to have all these things down the road. So that was my main interest for studying monetary.
You developed a huge following, both in real time and online, and you have a very, very strong group of people who are very bullish on you. What do you do with that at this point? What do you do with all that that goodwill and all those people who you've accumulated as Ron Paul fans? What do you do with it?
Well, originally I thought I'd be in that presidential race for a couple of months, and I could go back to being a quiet congressman and just giving speeches now and then. But it went much further than I ever dreamed, and I was very pleased that happened, that people placed a lot of confidence in me. But then when it was over, people said no, you're not going to quit. But I had no stomach for going into a system that is very biased, against third-party candidates. I've tried that. So I've started the Campaign for Liberty. It's a continuation of all the things I've talked about before, and there's a website by that name. People come, and we have over, I think it's 110,000 people have joined already.
Campaignforliberty.com, right.
Right, and we had a grand rally out during the time the Republicans had a rally, and we're going to stay organized and energized and very, very active, I think, in generating a lot of mail to Washington. Everybody knows there's a lot of mail went to Washington, but with the emails that we've generated during the last year or so, it should indicate that we're capable of reaching a lot of people. So I think we had a little influence on what happened here yesterday.
Will you consider another presidential run?
Not really. I don't think so. No, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in talking about the issues, and I'm pleased that people are talking more about what I think is important. So, no, I don't expect to do that. I'm up for re-election this year in Texas, but fortunately for me, this month I'm one that I don't have to worry too much because I don't have an opponent. That makes
it pretty easy to win, doesn't it?
A little bit easier. If I lose this one, then it's time for me to retire.